Hello everyone, this is Mr. Marcus again. I am the FCS agent in North Carolina Cooperative Extension for Union County. And today we're going to do a delicious recipe for chicken stir fry. Now this recipe comes from our National 4-H alumni and member cookbook that they have. And it's super delicious and super simple to make. Here are some of the ingredients you're going to need for this recipe. So we're going to start off with 1 tablespoon of oil, and we're going to use vegetable oil today for that. We're also going to need 2 cloves of garlic. So we're going to need it minced, and I already actually have some garlic that's pre-minced, and all we're going to need is about 1 teaspoon of it to make 2 cloves. We're also going to need 1 teaspoon of ginger minced. We're going to use the ginger ground spice in replacement of that. It will be totally okay. 4 cups of assorted vegetables, and within that we're going to use some delicious bell pepper. Bell peppers have great amounts of vitamin C in them. And of course carrots, which we all know is good for our eyesight, and that's because of the vitamin A that's inside. And then celery, which is delicious and holds so much water. It's about 90-ish% water, so it'll be a delicious addition to it. And of course, a little bit of onion to give it some nice, delicious flavor. We're also gonna add in 1/2 pound of chicken. So we're gonna julienne it, and I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna chop that up. And we're gonna use some chicken breast to cook. Next, we'll need 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and we're gonna add that into 6 tablespoons of water to help us with a little bit of a stir fry sauce that we're gonna make. And then last but not least, to add a little bit of flavor and a little bit of a nice, subtle salty taste, we're gonna add in a little bit of low sodium soy sauce. And of course, it's gonna be super simple today. We're just cooking in our skillet that we're gonna be using. And with measuring, we're only gonna need to use measuring spoons today. So first things first, we're going to chop up our chicken into juliennes. And basically, julienne is kind of like chopping it up into thin strips. So we've got our chicken breast, and I'm gonna cut off a little bit of this extra piece. And we'll kind of like the little ends of it and the fat we're gonna cut off a little bit of. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my chicken breast and I'm going to, remember how you have to cut with our knife. I'm going to slowly cut into it and make little strips. And this helps to make julienne strips for our chicken. And now it's time to prepare some of our vegetables that we have. So I've already got some chopped up, but I'm going to show you how to chop up the rest of your vegetables and make sure that you're safe. One thing you may notice that I am using the knife that I used for my meat cutting. However, so that we know that we're following best food safety practices, I washed my knife in hot water and made sure it was rinsed, sanitized, and used soap. So we have our knife that we're going to use, and we're going to start off with our yellow bell pepper. So I'm going to chop up, what I'd like to do when I have use a bell pepper is I like to cut off the top and then cut the bell pepper into fourths so that it's easier to get everything but the seeds and the middle part of the pepper. And we're also going to cut these into julienne, which means it'll be like little strips. So I'm just going to take my knife and carefully, using my good old knife skills, cut them into thin strips, making sure my hands are shaped like a bear claw. And now you have perfect little strips of your bell pepper. Once your bell peppers are done, now it's on to our carrots. So before we cut our carrot, let's make sure we take off the top peel, because that's the part that has been, of course, growing in the ground. So we're going to take our vegetable peeler and we're going to shave off the top surface of our carrot. And we're actually going to cut our carrot into little angled pieces. So we'll start by taking the ends off. And we're gonna take our carrot and cut a little bit diagonally. So make sure your hands are also diagonally when you're cutting the carrot. And try to cut them into thin pieces. It's okay if they come out a little too thick. That's totally fine. But try to hold your carrots diagonal and cut diagonal. And last but not least, we're gonna chop up our celery. And this we're gonna do like little small chunks. So as usual, we're gonna hold it down using our bear claw. You're gonna have them into little chunks. You can swipe them off if they get stuck to your knife. Just keep on going. All right, and now we're going to cook all of our ingredients together and make our delicious stir fry. To start off, we're gonna start with our meat and we're gonna cook our chicken breast that we julienne. So we'll need about 1 tablespoon of our oil. So we're gonna take our oil, and we're gonna add in 1 tablespoon. And I've turned on the heat to our stovetop. Now for our kids, our 4-H kids, make sure that you have an adult with you, like a parent or a guardian who can supervise this with you, just to make sure that we're all safe. So we want our chicken added in and we want it to be fully cooked. So we're gonna separate some of our chicken out. And we want it to be that nice white color. So turn some of our heat down. You can also make sure to check if it's cooked by the temperature. That's one of the best ways to check. So you want to make sure your chicken is cooked to 165 degrees. And now that we're done with our chicken, we're going to set it aside. So we've cooked it fully well, checked for the temperature, and it's got a great color on it. So we're gonna set this aside into our bowl. Awesome. So turn back on your heat. And then we're gonna first add in our garlic. So we're gonna need, like I said, 1 teaspoon of garlic is gonna be 2 garlic cloves that we need. We'll add in all of our onion. And then next, we're going to add in our carrots. And we're gonna all saute these together until they're nice and soft. So now we're gonna add in our ginger. So I'm gonna do about 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. You can use fresh ginger as well. And you would cut it up and dice it up like you would the vegetables that we worked about earlier. Then we're gonna add in our other vegetables that are gonna be a little bit more softer. So I'm gonna add in our celery. And I'm gonna add in our bell peppers. And we're just gonna mix everything up. And now we're going to make our sauce for our stir fry. Now that our vegetables are a little bit sauteed, I'm gonna turn them off for just a second. And we're gonna need a spoon so we can mix up our water and our cornstarch. So I'm gonna take my water. I'm gonna take about 2 tablespoons of our cornstarch. And we're gonna add that into our water. And we want to make it into what we like to call a slurry. So it's going to look a little bit like a watery white mixture. So I'm going to kind of mix it up a little bit till it looks a little milky. And once it's all mixed, we're going to add it into our stir fry. And we're going to turn the heat back up and kind of mix it into our vegetables. We're gonna add in our soy sauce. So for our soy sauce, we're gonna need about 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. And you can use the low sodium And what's gonna happen is that the soy sauce is gonna mix in with the cornstarch slurry and make it into this delicious stir fry sauce. And afterwards, we're gonna add in our chicken. And mix it in so that it's well incorporated. Again, let's be careful because you may have some spills and that's okay, but it's always great to take your time mixing in the vegetables and the chicken. And now that our stir fry is done, it looks all delicious and we've got wonderful veggies. We can top it on some rice. A great type of rice to put it on is brown rice because it's full of whole grains, which are good for your body. And perfection. We have our chicken stir fry from our National 4-H Alumni and Members Cookbook.